I was trying to come up with some cool leather cords for men for these deer antler necklaces, arrowhead necklaces, or, just any necklace for a guy. And I mentioned before about 2mm round leather cord. Sometimes it's called round waxed leather cord. You can get it in all different colors. And if you buy the 25-meter or 25-yard spools, you get the best deal per foot. But normally I would just take the cord, put a little metal attachment so I can add a clasp and a loop, a ring on the other end, and that's it. Put the pendant on it. But I was playing around with some cool ideas, and sometimes adding wooden beads is cool, but that can be a pain trying to find the beads that fit and match and everything. So if you just take two of these colors that go together, and I've been doubling and tripling them up, and it adds more bulk to the cord, but it still looks very like earth tone and subtle, which is what a lot of men like. They don't like to be as flashy as the women sometimes. So this looks really cool. And the simplest thing is you just knot the ends like that, and then you start going. If you knot it about every inch or so all the way down, it makes a really cool effect. Now, to make sure you take enough cord, because first of all, you measure it on a guy or on yourself and make sure it hangs down about where you want it to. I wrap the cord right around my neck to test it, but when you cut it, just keep in mind however many knots you're going to add. Each knot is going to kill about 1 centimeter or ½ an inch, give or take, depending on how you do your knots, and So, but cut some cord, and what I do is I try to pull them really tight so one isn't bunching up longer than the other, and I knot both ends to start. These are just simple knots, and then I figure out where I pull the whole thing together. I figure out where the pendant is going to hang, and I make a knot right there. You can see my incredible knot making skills. I've been doing this all morning, and try to keep it in the middle. When you're playing with the knots, push back and forth to try to place it where you want it. If it doesn't end up where you want it, it's pretty easy to pull these out and move them a little bit. But again, trying to get this as close to the middle as I can. And if you don't get it perfectly in the middle, don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. Then you want to put however big the bail is on your pendant. Now, if your pendant is one of those that just slides right on, that doesn't have any extra jump rings, you want to put it on before you make all the knots. Make one knot. Don't make the end knot yet. Make sure it can slide on. The idea of the knots in the middle is to hold it from moving. Now I usually use jump rings. I usually have my bail coming, or it's not a bail, I have my loop coming straight up, and then I have a whole bunch of 2, 3, or 4 or 5 jump rings. So next thing you do, make sure your pendant will fit, or put the pendant right on, and then make another, let's see what side I want to do this on. I think I'll do it on that side. And then just make another knot. So the 2 knots hold the pendant right in the middle so it doesn't slide up and down. Voila. Voila. Then just decide how far out you want to space the knots. Really only about 3 inches on each side is going to show, depending on how far down it hangs on the guy's chest. But basically you want to balance them. So make one on one side, one on the other, one on one, one on the other. And you're going to find that it's really hard to get them totally spaced evenly, and that really doesn't matter because it looks rustic and it looks cool. And the guy's not going to be sitting there with a measuring tape trying to make sure it looks just right. It's going to look cool. Try to get, again, some cool patterns, some cool different colors of earth tones that will go good together. There's all kind of cool colors and patterns or colors out there. Try to pick 2 that are not super different, just kind of 2 different shades of the same brown. Tends to look really cool together. Or like a brown and tan, or a tan and dark red. Here's the first one I tried it on, and I think that came out looking pretty cool. And there's different kinds of clasps and crimp connector things that you can get to go with it. I happen to like these two. This one can take 2, 3, all different number of strands, and you just kind of open it up with the pliers, put the strands in, and then you crimp it shut really hard with the pliers, and it locks on. Then it has that little end so you can connect jump rings and lobster clasps and stuff. This one, I can put the leather through and come the other side to give it a loop, or I can just put a couple strands through and bend this part out. I like to roll the metal piece in like that to make it extra strong, and then you can put a couple strands in there and then you crimp it. You can put a drop of super glue, sometimes helps. Sometimes the crimp is so strong you don't need it, but I'll do one of each. You don't need, once you're done, you can undo these knots at the ends. I think they look cool. I just keep them. But basically, just cut it so they're even. And first one, just slide it on like that. Again, this one can take 3 strands, I figured out. And just carefully, whoops, you don't want to slide. I'm trying to rush for the video, but just very slowly and carefully start to close it, and then close it from different angles to make it nice and uniform all over. Doesn't have to look pretty, it just has to do the job. That's not going anywhere. Then for the other one, this was really made to take 1 cord, but it's an extra big one, so I'm shoving 2 cords in there because improvisation is always fun. And you guys should watch the deer antler video that just dropped if you haven't, because that one is super cool. But there you go. Now put our lobster clasp on the end with some jump rings. If your customer is right-handed, which 9 out of 10 people are, I always like to put the clasp so when they hold it in their right hand, the necklace will face forward, not backwards. Because a lot of people don't pay attention to which side you want the design to show on, and they just stick it on, and then you got to be like, nope, turn it around. But I like to put a good row of jump rings on the end so it's adjustable based on the person's desires. Like if I can, I'll try to put 3 to 4 inches of jump rings, or you can get a big chunky chain and just put a few links of chain on the end, and then just add your knots. Again, don't stress too much about where you're putting them. Just get the knot going and then kind of slide it up and down so you can place it where you want it to be, and then pull it tight, and then go to the other side and add one. If your jump rings end up jumping over the knot, then use smaller jump rings or double up the knot. Now I tried, you can do 3-strand, 4-strand, 5-strand. I tried doing just 3-strand in the beginning for this, and I found it was a little too bulky for most guys. So what does that mean? If it's too bulky for a necklace, it could make a cool bracelet. And then I got the idea, since they're 3 strands, I braided them, and then I just put in a knot every once in a while, put my 2 ends on it, and bam, got some matching bracelet. Cool stuff. And you know, some guys just like this very simple design on a bracelet. They like simple cords, but you could make it a little wider. You could probably do 4 or 5 strands and braid them, or do your own patterns if you guys know how to do different kinds of patterns like that. That's not my forte, but it was fun to just make this one. And I haven't tried it yet, but I guarantee you could thread some beads in there, some little wooden or stone beads, or just one in the very middle. Just keep it simple. That would be pretty cool. So you guys have fun with this, and you know, possibilities are endless, but I just wanted to show you how to make a really cool cord for men's necklaces, or anyone who likes rustic stuff. that's more simple and rugged and earth tone, this stuff is really strong. When you double them up like this, it'll take a beating. You can probably get in some bar fights or whitewater rafting, or, you know, fight a velociraptor, whatever your hobbies are. Have a great day, guys. You guys are the best.